it is actually a very well-known fact that we have to learn from our mistakes, and learning from our mistakes is one of the best forms of education that we can get. However, you don't necessarily have to learn from only your mistakes. You can also learn from other people's mistakes, and that is actually what we are going to do today. You guys are going to learn from my mistakes, because in this video I'm going to be sharing my 3 biggest, probably dumbest mistakes that I made in terms of studying. So if that is something that you think you're going to benefit, then just stick around. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Simon. I'm a second year medical student at the University of Zambia, and also if you haven't subscribed to my channel, remember to subscribe, also share, and like this video after you are done watching. Okay, so to be honest, I was really hesitant to make this video because it made me feel a little bit uncomfortable, in the sense that I have to open myself up and look at all my flaws and stuff, in front of you guys, although it's just a camera, but in front of you guys. But I realized that I have to be true to myself and also very real on this channel, to make sure that people are really getting the reality of things and also learn from my mistakes, because I think that is one of the most important things that I can actually share on this channel. It is my experience, and especially the mistakes that I'm making, because that is where the points of growth are. So in this video I'm actually sharing just 3, but I believe they are going to help you very much. So remember to stick around and watch this entire video. If you have never finished watching the complete video on my YouTube channel, this is one of these videos that I believe you have to stay tuned. You have these mistakes which I have made, the mistakes which have cost me a lot, and I don't want you to repeat the same mistakes, hence I'm sharing this video. So remember to stay tuned and watch the entire of this video. Okay, so number 1 on my list is running away from my weaknesses. Now, honestly speaking, this is one of the dumbest things that I've ever done in terms of studying, I believe. How do you run away from your weaknesses? Anyway, okay, so the way it is all of us know that we are supposed to be working on our weaknesses to strengthen them. Everybody knows, even I know. But I discovered that somehow, I don't know if it happens unconsciously, we tend to avoid our weaknesses because it requires a lot of work to work on those, and it is a little bit uncomfortable, and frustrations are very likely to arise from those kinds of work. So we tend to unconsciously avoid them. Instead, we do the things which we know we are good at because they make us feel a little bit better. So what do I mean by this? I've found myself in situations whereby I probably have to revise a topic, right? If a topic was really hard for me, like I didn't get the grip of it, the moment I start revising, as you all know, I revise using Active Recall first. So I'll be going through some questions, probably questions which I created, and also questions which I get maybe from past papers and stuff. The moment I find that I'm failing on majority of those questions, I get frustrated, like I've studied this topic and now this is what is happening. So usually I'm supposed to spend more time on that topic, but instead what happens is I find myself postponing that. I'll say, okay, I'll work on this later, and then I go to the things which I know. This is why I'm saying it's dumb. I go on the topics which I know, so that I know that, okay, this topic I'm comfortable with it, such that when I start solving questions, I'm able to solve. That makes me feel better about myself, which is basically self-deception. Now, the truth is, you are only as strong as your weakest point. Your weaknesses define how strong you are. That is where you are likely to fail. And the laws of nature have a way of playing and a way of teaching us. Those weaknesses really come to punish you. I can testify from some of my assessments, especially the previous assessments. On my weakest points, especially those things which I was avoiding, that is where I got punished the most. I even saw that, okay, I ran away from this weakness and now it has come back to haunt me. Okay, so this is one of the dumbest mistakes, as I have said, and I keep saying this because this is somehow personal, and I was really upset with myself that I was doing this when I realized it. So examine yourself, you find that sometimes you are avoiding some of the things which you are weak at. It can even be a subject. I'm sure all of you can relate to a point whereby there's a subject which you are not doing well in, and you are honestly avoiding it. You don't even want to study it. You are so much concentrated on the subject which you know you are strong. The subject you are passing, that is the one you are concentrated on. Now, I'm not saying that you should ignore every other thing, especially the things that you are good at, just to concentrate solely on your weaknesses. But what I'm saying is, really, you have to avoid the tendency of shifting to the things which you know already, and avoiding the things which are going to require you to put a lot of work, where frustration is definitely going to arise. That is where you are supposed to be putting your energy, actually, as well as when you are maintaining your strength. I know, and I'm sure it's true, that most of us, even in secondary school, we had subjects which we liked, and we knew we could pass them, especially if after a series of assessments, the subject which you pass the most, you'll be very motivated to study that subject, and you'd neglect the one which you have failed, which I think for that time you were just as dumb as I feel right now. Yeah, so this is a very big problem which we have to work on. And if you are getting into, as you progress higher, like for example when you're in your career, like for example I'm doing medicine right now, everything is interconnected, nothing is really isolated. It was different in secondary school. Maybe you're not good at civic education, you're good at sciences. Those are two different things. But for now, if you are good in physiology and you are bad in anatomy, those two things work hand in hand. You cannot do one without the other. So you really have to work on your weaknesses. You can't say I'm good in physiology yet you are bad at immunology. As in, what does that mean? Yes, you can be, but you're supposed to also work on your weaknesses, because everything is interconnected and you can't do one without the other. Now, there is a certain technique, rather a strategy that I'm trying to create for myself, which is somehow personal, to get around this problem of running away from your weaknesses. However, I'm not going to share it right now. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do it best, and I might just share it in one of my future videos. That is if it will work. To also help others who are also in this crisis as I am. Okay, so number 2 on my list is actually misusing active recall. But however, I used to make this mistake some time back, actually before I even came to university, when I was just learning what active recall is. But I believe for those people who are learning of active recall, as in now or recently, it is possible that they can also fall into that trap. Now, what happens is active recall and spaced repetition, those two techniques are very, very strong and effective techniques, which I believe are very powerful in the hands of that person who knows how to use them. Now, as you know, for anything which is actually, something which is powerful, used wrongly can also be detrimental. So active recall, when you start using active recall, you get excited because it has got a lot of scientific evidence and backing that it works. So you get really excited and you start seeing some results, but that tends to push you into the corner of just using active recall, to the sense that you start memorizing stuff. So you start depending on memorizing stuff. However, I did this not pretty much. It was not very okay. I'm not a fan of memorizing a lot of things naturally, so I didn't fall into this pit that much, but other people might. And I also learned of the Feynman technique, which is one of my favorite techniques in terms of studying new content before you can actually start using active recall to retrieve it and so you store it in your long-term memory. So you really have to concentrate on encoding the information that you are learning for the very first time before you can start using active recall. Now, I've used the word encoding here. Now, encoding, I think before I even learned of the word encoding, I was relatively good at encoding my information already because of the Feynman technique. Feynman technique is one of the best techniques you can use to encode new information. Now, encoding, for those who do not know what encoding is, it is basically how you are organizing your information as you are learning it for the first time. Now, I learned of this earlier this year, before I started my second year. Earlier this year, before I came to school for my second year. And I also came across it again. We also learned it in my psychology class as we were learning again. So I'm not going to explain really about encoding because it is something which I'm learning, and I think I'm not really at the level that I can actually share it well. Yeah. So encoding in conjunction with something which they call the Bloom's taxonomy. Now, I'm advising you to go and check this out, especially with the name which I'll write here. I've forgotten the name. Check this name here. You should check that name on YouTube. You should check that. He's a medical doctor and a learning coach and stuff. He explains it really well. So I do not like to share things which I have learned recently before I really put them into efficient practice, because that basically means I've just transcribed information from one source and then presented it here, which is basically not what I'm doing. I want to use it, see how it works, and then combine it with all my experiences before I can present it before you guys. But however, you should try to check it out, as I'm also learning to do it. Yeah, it is something which you have to learn as well as you are using active recall to revise. Okay, so active recall, basically active recall is used to recall information which you have already put in your brain. So how you're putting the information in your brain is what matters. You have to use better techniques, not just reading like a novel. Better techniques like the Bloom's taxonomy and also the Feynman technique. The Feynman technique, I'm very comfortable with it because I've been doing it for some time now. So you can try that as well. So do not misuse active recall in the sense that you just put information in your brain, just reading it as if it's a novel, and then after that you can start using active recall, just basically memorizing without understanding. That is actually detrimental. It is going to be overwhelming and you're not going to be able to maintain that in the due course. So remember to check out better techniques when learning new information, especially the Feynman technique and other techniques which you are going to learn along the way before you can actually use active recall to recall that information. Okay, the third thing on my list is something which I have actually realized very, very much recently. It is actually not forgiving myself. Now, I personally, whenever I fail at something, I know there are some other factors which are outside my influence circle which are going to contribute to my failing. There are some things which I cannot do anything about. Yeah, so of course I will complain about that, but mainly I like to hold myself accountable for the things which have happened. I do not like to blame my failure on anything else. Yeah, and I think that's a very good thing, because it really brings me to reality and shows me exactly where I have to improve. But however, when you take this too far, actually not even taking it too far, but you have to learn to balance holding yourself accountable for your failure and forgiving yourself. I actually reached a point whereby after a failed assessment or something, I really despise myself so much that I literally don't forgive myself that easily. I feel I did not do much, especially if I can pinpoint some. Okay, in fact, connected to the first thing which I said, running away from my weaknesses, I could even see, maybe it comes in an assessment, that I actually ran away from this topic because I felt it was hard, and actually now it has come to haunt me. So I hold myself accountable in that sense, to the point where I do not forgive myself very easily. However, this I've found it to be very toxic. Actually, you should learn to hold yourself accountable for your failures. Don't blame them on a lot of people. Of course, there are going to be other things which are going to contribute, yeah, actually, but make sure the bigger part, the bigger chunk of that is actually you. So learn to forgive yourself and to work harder, because when you don't forgive yourself, actually you get demotivated and you don't even have the motivation to work harder. Yeah, so that is something which I think you should also be doing, mostly after a failed, and this applies to a lot of things, not just academics. Generally in life, when you fail at something and you realize that you could have done something better, if you are good at holding yourself accountable, for those people who like to blame their failures on other people, this is that they do not face this problem, because they'll be like, no, it's because of that, and because of that. Of course, those things might be applicable, those things might be there, but there is a lot of responsibility that you also have to place on yourself to hold yourself accountable for your failures. That is how you are going to grow. So for those people who do that, remember to forgive yourself if there's something which you did wrong, and then see how you're going to work harder and probably work smarter and better to improve your results the next time. So remember to just forgive yourself and loosen up a bit. Yeah. Alright guys, so those were my 3 mistakes in terms of studying that I've made that I think you should also be on the lookout for. Now if you have gotten something from this video, don't leave me with nothing, please. So remember, the comment section is for you guys, and now I'm requesting that you also comment on some of the mistakes which you were making, which you think if other people are making, it is going to be detrimental for them as well. So comment those mistakes and tell us how we can learn from your mistakes. That is how we are also going to grow together. And basically, comment anything. I want to hear your views, and also if you have any advice, even for people who go to comment there, they should find your comments to advise them on some of the mistakes which you made and how they should avoid them. So basically, this channel, as I'm presenting information, I'm also looking forward to be hearing your views and also learn from you. So let's make this interactive and build a community which is going to be benefiting from one another. Alright guys, see you next time.